Hey everybody, welcome to the gray area. It's Codependency Kate. I am so excited to be here today. I've overcome so much to be recording in this moment. So let's just have a moment of silence for that. I was posting on my Instagram stories about this, but I tried this weekend to record this twice and it was just a mess. The second time I recorded, I was like, oh, I'm obviously like feeling a lot of things. Y'all know my bend method, which is like all unwanted behavior comes from unmet needs. And the idea is that you process your emotions to figure out what your needs are. And so the second time I tried to record, I was like, oh, I'll just like go through Bend and like a hate list in real time to show people how it goes. And I got 30 minutes into the recording and I was like, this is actually too much, too intense. More is coming out than I even planned on, like than I even felt comfortable with. So I was like, um, I'm gonna pause this and get my needs met so that I don't know, so I can think about this. And then I was like, dang, maybe I guess I'm just not gonna have this out by Tuesday morning. I guess I'm just gonna have to like miss a week. And you'll have heard on this before that my goal is to do one a week for the rest of the year. And that's a big deal for me. I have a 1 year old. It's also a big deal for me because I'm not very good at sticking with like goals or plans. Like a lot of you, I grew up very like rigid with like and shaming about motivation and getting things done. And I played sports. And so it's just been when I started going to therapy in my early 20s, I kind of like was super rigid. And then I went to therapy and I was like, hey, just let things go and see if they come back to you because you're so in the habit of doing things because you have to and not because you want to, that in order to do things because you want to, you actually have to let yourself not have to do things. And so in doing that and letting myself go, you let yourself go in other ways. But I think that's an essential, it was at least an essential part of my process to actually let things go. And I just knew like in my gut that things would come back around when I had the total freedom and agency to actually choose, because that's when you can choose, is when you don't have to do something, when you don't need to do something, but you just want to. And I have just been craving that agency my whole life, and especially, and as an adult, being having all these responsibilities, and I think for me that's just really important. So I am just now starting to reintegrate like specific goals. I started posting on social media. I wouldn't say for fun, but it is fun and there's a lot that comes with it, but it is work. Like it is. And I hate work. I freaking hate work. Anything that's like coined as work, I'm just kind of automatically not going to do. I just don't label things that way because I know I'm not going to do them. So what I mean is this just is consistent fun. It's consistent effort. And I don't even like to think of it. That sounds just annoying. Like who wants to do constant effort? Like who cares? So, but I also was like, Kate, this podcast is just something that I want to stick with. There's just something in my gut that's just like, I have to be doing this. I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy a lot of parts about it that I don't get on social media. Like there's not a comment section on this podcast. Like that's really nice. And it's long form. I can just let things flow organically on social media and in short form. I mean, this is boring shit for y'all, sorry, but when you're doing content and you're trying to make things for short form like Instagram and TikTok, it's 3 minutes max on Instagram. And it just takes a lot of organization, and I don't naturally have that in my head. And so it's honestly a shocking miracle to even be in this place where people are like, you speak so clearly and And I'm just like, what? Because the way my head is before these things is like the least clear thing in the world, or at least it feels like. It's so funny how your experience of things can be so different than the way it comes off. But so anyway, I'm really proud. I'm really excited to be here. I don't know if I'll ever share clips of the crash out that was yesterday's recorded podcast, but maybe when I have nothing to lose. Maybe if I get canceled for something, that'll be a good time. But in other fun news today, because we're going to be talking about serious stuff. I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about today, but we're going to really get into it as normal, as usual. But I also want to say I just hit like 100,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know if I'm like supposed to care about that or supposed to not care, but I just think that's crazy. I have like, I don't know. I feel like such a douchebag saying all this, like such a freaking asshole. But I feel like the biggest reason that it's a big deal to me is because I had like 336 followers in early April of this year. Literally what is it? April, May, June, July. Oh my God, it's only been 3 months. Oh my God, I thought it was four. That's crazy. I had 336 followers at like April 6th, and then now it's July 14th, and I'm at 100,000. That's insane. To me, the reason that that's cool is not necessarily because the numbers, not because of like, douchey reasons. I mean, that's part of it, not gonna lie. It's cool. But the coolest thing to me is one, that there is a need, that I'm meeting a need. That's a huge thing for me. That's so cool. I've always wanted to post on social media in like an organic way where it's like I share my knowledge and we're just kind of throwing mud at the wall to see till something sticks. But the other thing is like I care so much about all this content. I care so much about education, doing things for free like this. And so y'all, I don't know if you noticed, I've been posting for 4 years. I started on Instagram or on TikTok in May of 2021, and I've posted on and off. Like that first year I posted pretty consistently, and then I got in trouble with my school. Should I get into that? I don't know. But I got in trouble with my school. They told me to stop posting. Stupid story. I had like done a video that had gone viral. All these people asked to write about it. Well, it was in like BuzzFeed and Newsweek and New York Post and all this stuff. And it was just this one video. It's pinned on my TikTok. It's how to predict that your partner is cheating on you. And it's so funny. I remember one of those, that day I recorded it. I was like in the mindset, Kate, just like keep posting no matter what you're feeling or look like. And a lot of my old videos, you can see I look like shit because, and I don't care about that necessarily, but that one day I remember I was like, okay, just post, don't get dressed up because then you start overthinking things and then they're not organic or authentic. And so just post. I don't even know how I come up with this shit. Like I said, I feel like ideas just come to me and from outside of me. And I just have to act on them. And if I don't, then it just passes and, goes to someone else. So anyway, I just like posted this one day and it just like picked up and it was crazy. And whenever you have a video that goes viral, it's really fun, but it's also really scary because at the time too, I was in grad school and I couldn't legally or like ethically even call myself a therapist. And so I was like scared. And that I was going to get in trouble. Anyway, my school found out about the video and they criticized the fuck out of it. They like just put me down. They were like, we don't support influencing. And I was like, I'm not trying to be an influencer. Like people really judge people that post online, especially therapists and other professionals, I think. Like they just assume bad intent and whatever. That experience crushed my spirit. I stopped posting for a while. And then when I was graduating, I started again and then I stopped again so I could focus on my practice. And then I got pregnant and, I don't know, I had some issues, that's a whole thing. I don't know yeah. And so anyway, I've been posting on and off for 4 years and on Instagram, I just had never posted much on there. But then, this past May, I guess April, I was just like, fuck it, I'll just post. some of my videos and then I posted them on there and literally just blew up. So, I think my favorite part is definitely interacting with people and learning about people. And the process of creating is like can be really stressful, but it's really freeing and fun. Nobody asked, but what's been really key to my own learning and growth is posting because I'm sure a lot of you relate, but I grew up just like in a caged version of myself and going to therapy in my early 20s and like on and off since then, not necessarily on and off, but like, you have phases of it sometimes depending on what you're going through. And where am I going with this? Oh, so you go to therapy for years about something, and then when you actually experience it, it like heals. So like for example, I'm like notorious on social media for my tone and my just direct way of delivering things. And going to therapy for that, it's like, oh, I don't feel like I can be myself. I don't feel like I can be honest. I don't know if I ever outright named that, but it was just a theme for sure. And then I start posting, in the past couple months about estrangement specifically, and that's when I just got more traction. But that was one of the things that estranged adult children the most like really appreciated about me. And it was just kind of an unspoken thing. I didn't know that I needed healing there. And let me just say that a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't need external validation. And it's like, I mean, I did though. I did. I needed it. And it was like a puzzle piece that went into the puzzle. So it's not necessarily a continuous thing anymore. I've been growing still and I don't feel like I need it anymore, but I did. Like I honestly did. And I think we're just made that way, like to need social validation sometimes, especially foundationally. And that was just like kind of a foundational thing. And so for me, I think what I'm most proud of in posting is just like putting myself out there and being more myself the more I do this. And I can't wait. Like, in a couple years, who knows where I'll be? I'll be like cussing up a storm, like calling, debating with Jordan Peterson or something. Wouldn't that be funny? That would be funny. I have these like fantasy daydreams of like, what's like, if I'm doing this now, what is it going to be like then? If I'm like being this outspoken and, I'm going up against estranged parents of all people and populations. Like when I started posting, I was like, Kate, you pick your enemies. You pick people that are going to come for you. And for me, it was either men, because I talk strictly about marriage. I did before. And then I was like, okay, it's either men and then when estrangement stuff came up, I was like, it's men or estranged parents. And I'm like, damn, that's like, those are the worst. Men are actually scary though. So I don't have the courage for that yet. Estranged parents, I'm learning, are all bark and no bite. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, you can't do anything. So yeah, that's taken some time too. But I think that's what I'm most proud of is like, I'm not scared. I do think scared, but I'm learning a lot about myself and I'm really feeling connected, especially just to just people that engage with my stuff. And I gotta say, it's like kind of the coolest thing in the world to be able to like help people heal from the deepest, darkest, most traumatic things in their lives. Um, so if you're listening, thank you so much. I'm going to keep going and you mean a lot to me and you've really helped me. This is kind of a mutual thing. It is and it isn't. But yeah, thanks. And let's get into our topic today. I mean, this one's heavy, you guys. This one, I don't know. This one's just, again, something that hit me, something that's here, and something that is really important. A lot of people have asked me to talk about this, and I've just hesitated because I focus more on, the emotional side of things. I think that's, the biggest thing. But today I made a post about physical abuse and when parents are physically abusive. And I asked a question, and I'm just so pissed off at the answer because I knew it would be the answer. But what we're going to talk about is physical abuse, and more specifically, physical abuse when it's the parent that you are married to. and what your role is as the parent as the other parent from a family systems point of view. So let's see my post today. God, I made the post. So my post was like, if you're an estranged adult child and you were physically abused by your parents, do your parents like challenge the estrangement now? And the reason I asked that question is because a lot of estranged parents, especially the ones that are super vocal online, they're like, I get estrangement when things are abusive, but I don't get it when they're not. Like everything other than physical and sexual abuse, like estrangement is not necessary. And I'm just like, okay, first of all, that's so stupid. I mean, I'm just going to be real. That's like not a clinical response or a professional response, but that's fucking stupid because you don't get to say what was or wasn't abusive. And you also, even so, anyway, I asked this question to estranged adult children today, and they're like, shocker, guess what? Guess what? Their physically abusive parents don't think it was abuse. And so, what I want to talk about today, which I think is just a very important thing from when you're in a marriage, but also your parenting, is understanding the difference between emotion dysregulation. So, like when you're overstimulated, when you're just dysregulated, and then the other side of it, which is entitlement. So, certain beliefs about how you can and can't behave. And in a marriage and as a parent, these are really important things to understand because remember, this is the gray area. Okay. We're going from black and white to gray. And guess what the answer to this is going to be? Both can exist at the same time. Both, because I'm sure a lot of people listening, that struggle with codependency, that are really struggling with all this toxicity in their marriage and in their family. That's going to be the question, right? Is like, oh, is my partner, are they have an avoidant attachment? Or they have a narcissistic personality disorder? Like, is the core of this clinical? Or is the core of this, are they an abuser? Are they entitled? Is this patriarchy? Like, there's just like two parts of this, and the question normally is like, is it one or the other? Am I just also emotionally dysregulated and I'm just emotionally dysregulated in one way? Or am I a victim? And that's the question that we're going to just go through today. And then I'm going to talk just obviously, very frankly about your role as a parent. If you identify with any of this, and what your responsibility is to your kids. So first of all, let me say that this is very nuanced. I'm not your therapist. I don't know your situation. This topic brings up a lot of shame and a lot of fear. And so I want to ask you when you're listening to this to just notice what comes up for you and tend to that. And like tend to that with your support system and with yourself, because, and just to also have some understanding that I don't know all your situation, and, it's just have discernment. I don't know you, and I just want this to be helpful. And again, so backing up, also zooming out, all I want for people is to restore their relationships. So if you're in a toxic relationship, that the goal here is not necessarily to restore, from a codependent point of view, when people hear restoring the relationship, they hear, I have to be a certain way for this relationship to exist. They think of the relationship as kind of this fixed shape and this fixed way of being, and they're just inside it. And what I want you to understand, because that's codependency, that's just like being inside of the relationship. Now, being healthy, securely attached, and restoring the relationship in general is restoring the relationship with yourself. That is number one. That's like the paradox or irony, or like, that's what people need to understand, is what I always talk about. And even in this podcast, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to your partner. I'm talking to you. And that's what makes me different than other accounts. There's other like couples therapy accounts, or there's other like very individualistic accounts. And this account is about self-healing in the relationships context that you're in. So it's both, Remember? Don't kill me. It's both. It's both healing yourself and not worrying about the outcome, but advocating for the outcome also. So there's the difference. You can control yourself, but you can influence the relationships that your partner. The first thing to understand is that you don't know what's best for your partner. People think like, oh, I'm doing this for the relationship. I'm doing it for the relationship, doing it for the marriage. I'm doing it for the family. And people forget that the relationship is made up of individual parts. A marriage, especially, is the relationship is made up of two people, you and them, you and them. So you can't read the other person's mind. You don't know what's best for the other person. You only know what's best for yourself. You can guess what's best for the other person, but you ultimately do not know. So what are we talking? God, we're talking about physical abuse. Okay, the bottom line with physical abuse, and this is what I heard from every single fucking person that commented on this video, is that their parents don't think it was actually abuse. It has somehow been rebranded into something else like discipline. Discipline. I'm just disciplining my child. They just won't do what I say. And so I have to discipline them. They have to learn and they aren't learning any other way. And so this is the only way they're going to learn. Shocker. That's what every single commenter said. So they basically said their parents don't understand the estrangement. They didn't see it as an all or nothing. They were just like, I didn't do it often. Like even if I did, it was discipline. It was punishment. Or they don't remember something called dissociative amnesia. So a lot of people have this. Like when they think about their childhoods, they're like, yeah, I don't remember my childhood. That's called dissociative amnesia. So basically, it was so stressful for you that you dissociated. You just kind of went through the motions. When you're driving home from work, say, or you're driving home from whatever, and you were there, but you weren't there, you get home and you're like, oh my God, I don't even remember driving home. That's because you were dissociating. A mild version of this is obviously daydreaming. And you might not be, you might be like, not everything is like a trauma response. Not everything is dissociation. Like, there's a thing called like thinking. It's like, no, not like this. Is this a response to stress? Do you often not remember things? Or how present? People can't be present and people dissociate. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I feel like this is almost a lot of people's default is dissociation. So they're doing things, they're going through the motions, but they're not really there. And so they don't remember things. They're shitty partners. They act out. So these parents, I'm like, were they just all dissociated, or is most of the world fucking dissociated and they're just going through it? And it's when you're looking at someone and you're talking to them, but there's just like nothing there. They're like, there's nothing behind their eyes. They're fawning with you. They're frozen, or they're like fighting with you. They're like, people are like, not everything's a trauma response. And it's like, have you looked around? Have you seen how much trauma there is even in regular ass families? Like, I don't know if I've said this explicitly, but y'all know that I went to school and at like 20, let's see, how old was I when I started? 27, I guess. And I grew up in a middle class, if not upper middle class. I don't know. White family. I went to high school. I went to UNC Chapel Hill for 4 years. My parents paid for my undergrad. Then I went to, grad school. I did pay for that myself, but I played sports. I had a million experiences and I was in grad school and I was like, oh my God, I don't know this shit. If I don't know this, then nobody knows this. Like that's part of why I post online. That's why we're here today. But so my thing is like, even I dealt with this. Like I can't even imagine the big T trauma, people that had big T trauma, people in poverty, like all of these things. Yeah, everybody's traumatized. Yeah, everybody's traumatized. Also, have you seen Succession, the show? It's one of my favorite shows. Yeah, is that a surprise to you? No. But look at Succession. The wealthy people have the most issues, are the most dysfunctional. There's financial abuse. There's emotional abuse. It's all fucked up. And so, yeah, I do think that most people are dissociated. Most people are in trauma responses. Most people are not present. Most people are literally in survival mode. Why do you think the world is the way it is? Because everyone's calm and present and in touch spiritually and emotionally? No. So, yeah, so back to these estranged parents, that's what they're saying is I don't remember doing this. I don't remember beating you every day. I don't remember spanking you every day. I don't remember breaking a wooden spoon on your leg. And even if I did, you were really defiant that day. You were really defiant. There's two sides to every story. How fucked up is that? Okay. So that's the thing is like when it comes to so I got a comment the other day too that this is coming up, and the reason I want to talk about this is one, to like validate you, but also if you're a parent, we got to fix this shit. Okay, because you cannot, breaking generational trauma is not just like not hitting your kids anymore, but so there's two sides of it. Remember, there's the emotional dysregulation, where you're like actually stressed out. You're like, your nerves are shot kind of from your stressful life. Okay. But then there's the beliefs and entitlement part. And that's what all these estranged parents have in common, is that they have rebranded abuse as discipline. They have rebranded emotional neglect as, well, I really wanted you to have all the experiences. There's a rebranding issue going on. And what we need to be very aware of in this day and age, are we rebranding emotion dysregulation and the kind of these diagnoses? Oh, it's just my ADHD. It's just my autism, as abuse. Is that what we are rebranding now? Are we using clinical language to excuse our behavior and to not really dig deeper and change this actually? Because I had someone comment the other day, an estranged parent, and she said, you know, I've done so much work on myself. I've realized that my abusive behaviors were because of my autism, were because of my ADHD, were because of, I was in an abusive narcissistic relationship with their parent. And that's where I was coming from when I was being abusive, and they still won't take me back. And I'm like, girl, that's half of it. That's half of it. Yeah. Like, you've done the hard part. And I don't want people to feel like the goalpost is moving, but that's not all of it. That's not all of it. Even if you were to regulate yourself, like, it's about the beliefs that you can do this as a parent and it's okay. And so that's the core issue, is like, we need to ask ourselves as parents, what do we think is okay? If we freak out at our kids, do we think that's okay? And see, here's the thing too, that I think a lot of parents are doing well, is like, they're not treating their kids this way. Like, they don't think yelling at their kids is okay, even if they're dysregulated. So they will apologize. But the issue is they're not getting to the root of it, because there's still a belief that like, oh, just because I'm overstimulated, I still can yell. I still can do that as long as I apologize. I had someone else comment, and she said, I think this was a comment where she was like, yeah, it was. She was like, I have, an 8-year-old son, and, I yell when I'm stressed out, and I keep apologizing, but his behavior is getting worse. And I'm like, yeah, because he doesn't trust you anymore because you keep doing it. And so it's like, you can't excuse what your shitty behavior towards your kids with a more understandable clinical reason. Like, you cannot do that. It's still abuse. It is. Because abuse, again, has two sides. Like, it doesn't, just because you have good intentions, that doesn't negate their experience that it's abusive, that is inherent to their position as a more vulnerable child. So we've got to check ourselves with that. See, and here's where I think our generation's going to go wrong. This is what I think. I think that it's not going to go in the way that parents are treating their children. I think it's going to go wrong in how people in marriages treat each other. So I think that is going to be the core thing. And what's unfortunate is that is like, to me, that's harder. To me, my marriage is difficult because in my head, I'm like, oh, he's an adult. Like, there's no power imbalance here, that like, and marriage is tough. Like, marriage is like parenting. Someone said marriage is like a mirror and parenting is a magnifying glass. And, so that's where I think people are going to fuck up in our day and age, is their marriages. They're going to focus so much on parenting and their kids. And this has happened before, just in different ways, like, earlier, older generations, like A lot of these estranged parents were stay-at-home moms or were moms who like gave everything to their kids, and they didn't they didn't really worry about their marriage. And I think that is what's being passed down also. I think people, yes, are focused on their marriage, but they're way more focused on parenting. And that's where I think we're going to fuck up, because there's the truth that kids witnessing something is like giving them that experience themselves. And so it's like they experience it themselves. Vicarious trauma, that's what it's called. And so I don't think, even if you treat your kids very well, but you treat your partner like shit, or y'all aren't figuring things out and y'all are being passive and you're waiting, putting it off till later, that's gonna catch up with you. And that's what I think our generation's trauma will be to our kids, will be, unless we figure out marriage. And so this is going to be a little shorter of an episode today also, because my husband, he's been watching my daughter, and he needs a break. So, and I just said, like I said, I got to get it done. I'm not going to ramble for an hour today, maybe just like 40 minutes. But, well, let's see. So back to kind of the physical abuse thing and us rebranding things. What I want to talk specifically about is if you are dysregulated or your partner is dysregulated, and maybe you don't, let's see, and or so like, what's your role in a situation if they're dysregulated at your kids? What is your role here? I did this post today, but I also shared a post on my Instagram story that was like, people are really close, or it's so easy to scapegoat the parent that was like overtly, explicitly terrible. People think of this as like, it's so easy to scapegoat the narcissistic mother. Like to say, yeah, it's my mom, my crazy mom. That's the problem. When you're growing up and your mom's being crazy or whatever, you and your dad make eye contact. Like, yeah, like here she goes again. So that's your dad triangulating you. First of all, the definition of triangulation, people think it's just like it's only from like parents down. It's when there's issues in the original definition, the original context is in a marriage when there's conflict and they cannot solve it in the marriage. They involve a child, and it can be as covert and unintentional as, you having a crazy mom and you and your dad having like an alliance because of that, or having this like unspoken understanding that like she's crazy. Because here, from a family systems point of view, that is incorrect. That is triangulation. It is. Remember, fuck intent. Fuck it. Because that's what turns into, people talk about like parental alienation. That's what it is. Like, it's this covert, subconscious, unconscious alliance or like emotional bond based on like, and leaving someone out. And that's, again, from the parents down. People do this unintentionally in all sorts of ways. And it's fucked up because kids do not understand that this is being parentified. They're being brought into a parental marital issue. In a family, there's the parents on top. This is a subsystem. So the family is a system. The parents are on top. They're in a subsystem. And then there's the children, the siblings subsystem. There is not like mother-son subsystem and then dad-daughter. So like that doesn't exist. That's not healthy. That shows marital issues and marital conflict. And that's going to fuck up your kids if you do it. Okay. Like, being super real. You got to get your marriage right. And so I was talking to someone today, and here's a perfect example of what this actually looks like in real time. So say everyone's hanging out as a family, or, it's after work or whatever, and there's dinner time, there's homework, all this stuff. And one part of the marital subsystem is getting dysregulated. They're getting frustrated. Maybe it's like they're helping someone with their homework or something, and they're getting frustrated. What do you do in that situation as the other parent? Do you so say there's two kids. Do you take the other child out of the room and let, the spouse deal with that with the kid? What do you do? Do you just like call her out in front of the kids? What do you do? I'm going to tell you, from a family systems point of view, everything comes from the marriage. everything. If you are seeing your spouse become dysregulated and they're taking it out on the child, again, because of their belief that they're coming from a good place or that the child is it's a cause and effect situation. The adult is being codependent with the kid about, oh, well, they're just not getting it. So yeah, I'm getting frustrated. It's this cause and effect situation. Sorry, I had to take a sip. What your job here, for example, is to check in and say, hey, let's check in real quick to your partner and pull them out of the room and check in with them and co-regulate. That's what being a marriage first is. And then maybe it's separating the kids, right? It's being like, hey, let's all take a break. We're all feeling it right now. Like, let's take a break. And so you're separating everyone. Everyone's co-regulating because the point is for you and your spouse to connect. For you guys, remember, bend. This is unwanted behavior, right? You're allowed to do this in your relationship. This is unwanted behavior. And the goal is to co-regulate with them. So to figure out what they're feeling, what they need, and what they want. Now, how do you do this without rescuing? And we'll get there. We'll end with that. But that's the point. Everything comes from the marriage. And if your spouse is treating your child like shit or they're escalating or whatever, it is your job as the partner to intervene in that situation and protect your child. No matter, like we've heard generationally, when dads leave the house, they're like, be nice to your mom. No, that's not the kid's job. But he's doing it because his wife probably vented to him about how hard of a time she's having and he's just trying to be caring. You're like, yeah, there's good intentions here too, but that's triangulating. That's not what is best for the kid. That's not. They are not you're teaching them that they're responsible for mom's emotions. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. And so in this situation, everything comes from the marriage. You have to be on the same page about your own issues and stop involving the kids in your issues in these covert ways. So that's the thing. If your partner is being shitty towards your kids, it's your job to say, hey, you need to take a break. Like, let's take a break and go. Like leadership skills. Okay. Leadership skills. Hey, sweetheart, let's go. I see you're getting dysregulated. Let's go. Now, here's the thing. This interaction is all the foundation to it is going to be built in moments that are outside of interacting with your kids. How much are y'all talking every night? How on the same page are you during the day? How connected are you? How intimate are you? How much do they know what's going on in your world? How much do you know what's going on in theirs? And this is what my next episode I think is going to be on if I can get my shit together enough to talk about it. But it's going to be on how to actually not self-abandon and how to actually fix the structure of your marriage. Because if the heart of the marriage is not there, there are probably structural issues. And by that, I mean, y'all are just not on the same page for whatever reason. I did I don't know if y'all know who Terry Real is. He's a couples therapist. He's like gained a following on social media. He's written books. Terry is Terry. Real is Real, his last name. And I reposted something he shared. It's so fucking good. He said that people don't change because of a miracle. Like if you're sitting here praying for your partner to change and you're not doing anything else, like having boundaries, like speaking up type of thing, like saying, hey, this behavior is what makes me every single night not want to have sex with you. Like if you're that's boundaries. That's like, if you're not being honest, if you're not living with integrity about the issues you're having in your relationship, and maybe you're thinking about separation and divorce all the time and you're not being honest about that. That's what I'm talking about. If you're only praying, if you're only going to therapy, if you're only like ruminating about this stuff, that's being passive. And that's like praying for a miracle. That's not how this works. His post was like, people don't change because of a miracle. They don't change because of lightning striking. They don't change randomly one day having a change of heart. That is not how change happens. Listen to me. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I see change. I facilitate change on the front lines every single day. I'm trained in couples therapy. I haven't been doing this as long as Terry Real. Yes. I haven't been doing this as long as Esther Perel. Yes. I have not created modality. I haven't done this. What I know and what I see in couples therapy when people come in And it takes one person to have boundaries. Any change that has to be made in the marriage is not because I'm going to tell one partner that. That is not how it's going to last. And that's not going to create the new relationship that needs to exist. So you cannot be passive and wait for things to change. He said in his post, he said, people don't change by miracle. People change when they feel the heat. People change when they feel the heat. My next episode is going to be how to turn the heat up if you're having structural issues in the marriage. And structurally meaning they don't listen to you. Maybe the four horsemen are there. There's a divorce or yeah, he's a divorce researcher, Gottman. Y'all hear me talk shit about him. But he has done 40 years of research on couples, and he's defined four horsemen. That if these four horsemen are present, he can predict divorce with a 90% accuracy rate. So the four horsemen are stonewalling, which is the silent treatment, criticism, defensiveness, and contempt. So basically, if these are structural issues in your relationship, if these four things, stonewalling, so the silent treatment, criticism, so basically complaints without love, what was it? Stonewalling, criticism, defensiveness. Okay, I know that this exists in most people, honestly, because it's emotional abuse. All these things are emotional abuse, by the way, and emotional neglect. They're all that. Defensiveness and then contempt. So there is a trauma, there is like a heart behind these behaviors. But my point being that these are structural issues in the marriage. They're process issues. They're no matter what the subject is, no matter what the content is of what you're trying to fix or solve, these things are present interpersonally between the two of you. Y'all may be a really great team, but interpersonally, I mean, between the two of you, there's maybe no intimacy because the way you talk about issues is just fucked up. So, what was my point with this? Oh, so these are structural issues, and I'm going to talk about how to turn up the heat so that if your partner is dysfunctional, and this only is going to apply to you if you are acting with integrity in your relationship, you're doing the work on yourself, you're learning how helping is hurting, like on the other side of things, you're doing the work, you're realizing how harmful internalizing is to the relationship. That's who this next episode is going to be for. So that's what I want to get to is like all problems. And this was my whole account before I started talking about estrangement, but like all problems in a family come down to the marriage, period. Sure, there may be other like issues, but the power to change exists in the marriage. And so using that last example, like you need to get in your head that if your partner is being shitty towards your kids, it's your job to intervene. If they will not listen to you outside of it, your kids need to see you stand up for them. Okay. Your kids need to see you stand up for them, and you need to be meeting with a therapist regularly to help you figure out how to talk appropriately to your kids about this so that you're not alienating their other partner. And you're doing all the work you can behind closed doors to get this marriage and get the partnership figured out. So, all right, guys, my time is up. I need to go relieve my husband, but thank you for listening. Thank you for following and engaging. We gotta stay in the gray area. It's uncomfortable. This stuff is hard to hear. I get it. Someone messaged me the other day and we're like, you say this stuff and you make it sound so easy. You make it sound like it's supposed to be easy. And let me just say, this is the hardest shit in the world to do. This is the hardest shit, but it's the most important thing. If you figure these things out, everything else, I swear, everything else in life is cake, because family and marriage are the foundation of everything. They're the foundation of everything. And if those things are fucked up, then everything is fucked up. And you have a lot more power than you think, and I'm going to help you find it. Okay? I'm going to help you find it. So stick around, engage with me, email me, Kate at codependencykate.com, or DM me on Instagram at codependencykate. I'm still trying to figure out my tagline at the end of this, like stay real or whatever. If I was Terry Real, that would be what I said, stay real. But I don't want to say stay gray. That's lame. I said lame the other day actually, and someone commented that that was ableist. So I was like, oh damn. All right, but gray isn't. So if you have any opinions on what it should be, let me know. I don't know what I'll do if it sticks, but I don't know if I have anything to give, but other than a shout out. But all right, guys, thanks for listening. This is the gray area with codependency Kate, and I'll see you next time.